It's been a terrific week for Shatta Wale, whichever way you look at it. He spent close to 24 hours in EOCO cells as he was interrogated over that yellow popular Lamborghini that has become the talk of town. But of course, as Shatta Wale, that we all know, so many people thronged to the EOCO premises to demand his release. Shatta Wale is in trouble with EOCO because of a vehicle that he is said to have bought. And according to Shatta Wale, and according to that EOCO statement, Shatta Wale says he bought that vehicle, a Lamborghini Urus, for $150,000 on the street. Also, he does not know who the seller is. He can't find him now. He had a number, he is dismissed, he's thrown away the number and all of that. So a big conversation today, because since this big issue happened a couple of weeks back, we have been told that there are a number of stolen vehicles in the system. So who exactly is responsible to ensuring that the vehicles that are coming into the country are vehicles that have been properly bought outside the country, properly imported into the country, and who is to make sure that cars that have been stolen do not even leave the ports? They get into the streets, they are used for some time before every now and then we see EOCO raids seizing some of those cars. That is a big conversation on Ghana Connect this evening.
I'm here to supply information to you guys, and that's it. The good news is that Shatta Wale has been granted bail and he has been released finally at the moment.
So that was manager of Shatta Wale after Shatta Wale had spent nearly 24 hours in EOCO custody. We will connect on these important matters right after this break.
Momo. It has made life happen in lots of good ways.
Mr. Kwanzaa, Mensaka insurance claim no.
It has put together beautiful weddings. It has filled the bellies of boys at their favorite watchy joint.
My guy, stop. Who they chop cancel these days?
It has made millions of businesses possible.
Mensaka no. We are back in business.
With just a few taps, money moves faster, easier, and safer. Momo understands the weight of your trust in us. We continuously enhance security with features like self-paying research to help you protect your money. Momo will only call you with 0244 300,000. No MTN or Momo staff will call or ask for your PIN or one-time password. Do not transfer funds to anyone whose identity you have not verified. Do not approve any prompts you have not initiated. Momo, still Wunsaka.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
At Star Oil, we believe fuel is not just a commodity, it is a lifeline. Every cedi saved at the pump is a cedi that helps a mother send her child to school. A farmer transports food to the market, or a young entrepreneur deliver their first order. Our mission is to make fuel more accessible by offering consistently competitive prices, helping ease the financial burden on Ghanaian households. In a country where transportation costs can consume nearly a third of household income, this is not just business. It's a social responsibility. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
The luckiest. Luck is everywhere, for everyone, yeah. The luckiest. Luck is everywhere, for everyone, yeah. Money we define, every day and night. Mama, dada keep on hustling for the family. The luckiest. Last dance, everyone to hash. You can win some cash. You can be the luckiest with 1 CD. Luckiest with 5,000. The luckiest. The teacher, doctor, market woman. You can be the luckiest. Oh, the luckiest. Luck is everywhere, for everyone. You can be the luckiest. The luckiest. Luck is everywhere, yeah, for everyone. Yeah. Stars everyone to hush. Luck is everywhere. Luck is everywhere. Oh, tell me, are you feeling lucky? Because I'm feeling lucky. Because I'm feeling like the ultimate. That how we go win. If I win, you win. You could be the luckiest.
Brush your teeth every day and night. Up and down and all around. Brush like feeling bright. Brush your teeth. Brush with mom and dad. Underneath and in between. Brush the germs away.
Pepsodent, cavity protection.
For 10 times stronger.
This advert is FDA approved.
Hey, dear Niham Sa. Stay soft concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. Just send it this way. You hear my tina watch. New it's now watch. No, be a baby, someone some demoni in us. Dear Niham say. Fair quiet, yes, sim beer association Ontario. Use stay soft and you hear it's now watch. Nani boss to tap from cry. A fabric softener. A year near says, sir. Choose to stay soft. No, who's so say, no. FDIG a dreading crowd to yet.
Sasso, si come tonton preko. Sasso, si come tonton preko. Edrana twami nyebu seshe. Ye hakesia ne malaria. Minya me kone me sasso spray. Every mosquito study run away. Come tonton preko. Sasso, mi se come tonton preko. Come tonton preko. Sasso, come tonton preko. Nani sham ne die e demo stronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to Ghana Connect. And one Don Shatta is in the news for all the wrong reasons again.
I'm a star.
One done. Shatta, I mean, for those of you who remember, Shatta did some explosive video on his TikTok live where he said, Charlie Remonacha, if you catch me, make come my house, make do this, make do that. Shatta Wale was really livid. And then Shatta Wale actually then was invited to EOCO. And then the tone changed. After 24 hours of being in the cooler, he came on, EOCO staff, all of you EOCO staff, thank you for your professionalism. And a lot of things have happened since then. I want to talk about it because, of course, there are those who've said that Shatta Wale has a very, 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 a big potential to be something big in Ghana's music. But also there are very important legal questions that come up about buying things outside. What is the price of a Lamborghini as against buying $150,000 on the outside? So if you bought an iPhone 16 Pro Max, which we know is about 10,000 CDs for 800 CDs from someone at Circle or from someone in Medina or somewhere, a Shaiman, Dodoa, you expected to think of what exactly you are buying. For that amount, you could fall foul of the law for dishonestly receiving and all that. And so there are big conversations that come around this, the way EOCO has handled this. There are those who said that, listen, this is an FBI investigation potentially because the person at the center of this is already serving a 7-year jail term in the United States of America for money laundering and fraud-related charges. And so he's in there, and a couple of things that have just come up against this. And so these are potentially big issues for Shatta Wale to answer. And there are those who say that, listen, Shatta Wale is perhaps not taking this very seriously in terms of the way he's accessing it. But we have some really brilliant minds to connect with us on this important matter. And so Ransford Nanado is a security and crime investigation specialist. Ransford Nanado, it's good to have you connect with us. Ransford, if you can unmute, all of you would have to unmute.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Great. Frank Kofiga is with the Vehicle Dealers Association. He's the secretary. Frank, it's good to have you connect with us. Hello, Frank.
Yeah.
Great. Frank is also here. And then Bismarck. Great. Bismarck Harris Chamba is a TikToker and a very big SM fan. And Bismarck is connecting with us. Bismarck, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
And then bringing the international swagger to this conversation, Mo Salam Andani is an international policy analyst, research assistant at the University of Belgrade. So connecting with us on this. It's good to have you, Mo.
Thank you very much, Kwaku. It's always a pleasure being here with you and all your listeners.
Great. And then my colleague, Stephen Mensah, also one SM fan, and he's also here in the studio. He has a couple of things to say about this. So, Stephen, it's good to have you connect with us.
It's good to be here.
Right. So let me start with you, Bismarck. Let's start from the basics. The detention. Definitely, he was there on invitation. He was arrested later, and that is what fed into the bail conditions being put across. Let me start from Bismarck. I wonder if you're one of those who masked up at the EOCO's offices demanding the release of Shatta Wale, because there were so many people from all walks of life who thronged to the venue. In fact, at the time Shatta Wale was even released, he had to take his manager using the police vehicle that had some megaphones on top of it to communicate to the fans around that, listen, Shatta Wale is on his way home, and so you also have to go. And then subsequently we saw Shatta on TikTok Live. Let me hear from you what you made of all the things that went on, and whether you were also there at EOCO yesterday.
Thank you so much. I wasn't actually there, but
you were there in spirit. You were there in spirit.
Yes. Of course, I was there in spirit because I was actually at work, so I didn't got opportunity to. I actually received the actual flyer of the said demonstration very, very late. So, like, I would have been there. I was actually happy that something like this happened. It tells us that Shatta Wale is not just a mere artist. He is loved by a lot of people. It is not anyone that could could gather a lot of people to come and support him in this particular case. And I'm really, really glad that you see there's a perception about we Shatta Wale fans that we are too abusive, we are too radical, we are too chaos, we cause a lot of chaos. But I was extremely glad that nothing of that sort happened.
No, but there are those who say that, listen, what happened yesterday at the place, there are some of them who are stripped to their boxer shorts. In fact, there were some of them I saw videos of people smoking. I don't know if it's cigarettes or it's cannabis or whatever it may be. I don't know. The police there. But there are people who are stripped to their boxer shorts, people who had paintings on their face, chanting, yeah, if you don't release Shatta Wale today. There was this guy I saw, Jacqueline interview, talking about the things that they would do. Someone even suggested that they'll burn the place down. I mean, don't you think that fits into the stereotype? Because, of course, this is not the first time people have massed up at EOCO. I think a couple of months back, weeks, I was there with the minority in parliament who were there to protest the detention of the Ashanti regional chairman. They were there, they sat on the floor, a lot of things. So, I mean, there are those who say that, listen, your colleague SM fans went in there and solidified some of the bad names that is attached to the fan base.
Well, it is feasible that people stripped naked and then people did a lot of things, but there wasn't a clear evidence to show that there was destruction of properties as compared to other demonstrations that we've seen before. And these are some of the ways these are some of the things that we can do to make sure that we are actually concerned about this particular issue. We don't have the capabilities of destroying the public properties. We don't have the capabilities. Our mission is to focus on our king, Shatta Wale, not to destroy properties. Okay. I hope you understand.
Okay.
So
really?
if we strip ourselves naked, if you see us do all manner of things, with the exception of destroying properties and then, causing chaos, it's actually good. It's a good demo.
That is your legitimate right to protest. I see that. And let me talk to you, Mo Salam and Danny. This has international dynamics. We know that when EOCO put out that statement, they talked about how this was part of a bigger crime investigation they were doing with the FBI, with stolen cars, fraud, and all that. I wonder if, from everything you've seen, you believe that Ghana is honoring these international obligations, because, of course, we are signatories to some of these things and all that, and the scenes we saw there. I'd also love to take your comment on that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Mo Salam.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Kwaku, and good evening to all your listeners across the globe. So basically what I think, I saw the videos and I also saw the communique that was put out by EOCO. And the only thing I could make out of it is we have a serious issue in our hands currently, because I did some digging and some reading and I realized that this is not just about Shatta Wale or his arrest or detention, if you call it. And I'm not surprised that the SM family gathered at the premises to demand for his release, because, like I always say, in Ghana, we have many stakeholders, and the arts and that industry, the music industry or the entertainment industry, is one of the industry that has a lot of the young people in it, people that are at their peak, okay? They are active, they know what's up, like us in coach, they know what's up, okay? And so they will not just sit down. People would rather even die for these people than they would for many causes. And so when I saw the arrest and detention, I was expecting something like that. And in fact, I was not disappointed, because he's a major stakeholder in Ghana, take it or leave it. And so I expected that to happen. But what I also commend them for doing is they did not engage in any violent activity. They did not assault any police officers or any destruction of any property or of that sort. And so that was very brilliant of them, and also very thoughtful of the SM fan. In fact, I'm also a militant, and so I was happy to see that they comported themselves very well.
More Shatta fans on this call today.
Yeah, and so I'm glad he was granted bail. So I'm hoping that, but the point is, this is beyond Shatta Wale, because if you look at the release and what happened, in fact, I saw the Interpol post about it too, which is something that is not just about Shatta Wale. In fact, he's the one that has been caught in this because he's a high-profile individual, and so it will catch public attention. And I'm sure they're going to arrest more people because of this, but because they do not have the profile of Shatta Wale, it's not going to make the news. But trust me, in the coming days, we're going to hear a lot about this, especially the way young people nowadays buy cars. And I mean, you know what I'm talking about. And so I'm just hoping that there's a framework, and I'm hoping that we can talk about how we can mitigate some of these issues, because it's a very big issue that just not falls on the people who purchase, but also how these cars get into the system, how they are released into the system, and also the gatekeeping of these issues. And so there's a lot we can discuss. But
right.
Preliminarily, I just think that what has happened is good, at least to open people's eyes to a lot of things that are happening behind closed doors. And I'm happy Shatta Wale is currently free. And I'm also happy that he changed his tune, because his first utterances were crazy. But now we can see that, he's, after spending some time with the EOCO officials, he has tuned down a bit. That is the man I like to see, very informed and very calm.
Yeah.
When time calls for the militants, we are all going to be there. But I'm happy he has changed his tune.
Yeah, that someone speaking from Belgrade and saying that when it's time to be there, he will come down as though he is going to pick to be on the next line. But I like where you went to, because this is essentially about stolen cars on the market. And in this particular case, of course, the allegation is that that car might have been a stolen car, but also it is part of a bigger crime proceeds that is being investigated and all that. Frank, you are with the Vehicle Dealer Association. How exactly is this possible? Because I'm thinking, I don't see how. So somebody can just go and steal a car in Canada and put it on a ship. It will come to Ghana. I'll go and clear it and I'll use it in Ghana. How is this possible? Hello, Frank. Are you on mute?
Yes.
Great. I can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. I think I lost it for a minute. So
I was asking about,
yeah.
A bit of this conversation is about stolen vehicles, stolen cars. And I'm asking, how does it work that you can just go steal a car in Canada and put it on a ship and then just ship it to Ghana? Someone will go and clear it. It will go through GRA. You pay the taxes, DVLA. You go and register. You put it on the road. Sometimes you'll be using it a year or two. Then one day, EOCO and Interpol will just snap out of you whilst you're on the road and say, this car is stolen car. How does it happen? You guys are the vehicle dealers. How is it possible?
Yes. So, like I keep saying earlier, this can only be possible with a crime syndicate. Okay, when it comes to vehicle dealers and dealers properly, we do not condone in such illegality. But yes, we have quite a lot of unscrupulous people who have found safe haven within this market to operate like.
No, so I'm trying to find out, are there no systems at the port? I haven't cleared a car before, but if you went to clear your car tomorrow, is it all you do is to pay the duty on it, the taxes, and just walk away? There's nothing that checks your title to the car. I don't know if I'm getting to a point where you get it. Hello, Frank.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
Yes. I think I
we lost you again.
Got...
Okay, Frank.
Yes.
So what we'll do is we'll fix your connection. We'll put you on the phone, and then we can do that. But let me talk to someone that knows a little bit about these transnational crimes and security and crime investigation specialist, Ransford and Jr. I wonder, because I don't know if you have an answer for me on how these things may happen, but how is it possible that some people can just go steal cars in another country, put it on a ship? Because I'm thinking, even in the country from where this vehicle is being shipped, there may be some checks before you just ship it. Back here in Ghana, no checks. You just take the car, you go put it on the street, you're driving, and then one day you stole it.
Kojo, so thank you and good evening. Thanks for having me. So you will not be able to give answers directly on this matter. Since it's under investigation, you would have to wait for the fine details. Are we allowed to speculate how these things happen without, prejudicing the outcome of the investigation being done by EOCO, my good friends at the EOCO? But let me first of all say that this is not news. This happens almost every day when FBI, Interpol will come down to the West African coast to look for vehicles that are stolen. In fact, it is not news. It's just because of the personality involved. That is how come, we are having this conversation. So let me just put on record that it's not something that is very strange, and I'm not surprised about it at all. Having said that, there's a pure organized crime syndicates at work. And the way you made it so simple that somebody will steal a car and put it on ship and all that. It could be that there are more than 20 people in this chain, and the final buyer may not be aware of what has even happened. It could be that this car was stolen at a mall somewhere in Canada. It was shipped through some very porous borders. Maybe the security agencies did not, as it were, report it on time for this car to be flagged before it got to the border. But the key question we should be asking ourselves is that, how did it also get here? Again, a lot of questions to be answered. Had the security agencies in the original country, the country of origin of this vehicle, flagged it and our people missed it at the ports or the borders? Let's be very fair. It could be that as at the time the car was entering this country, it had not been flagged. If it had been flagged, then we have a lot of questions to answer. From the people who brought in the car to those who inspected it at the port, because if you go to the port, we have national security, we have the custom officers there. We have so many hands that this car will pass through before it gets to its final destination in this country. So we can assume at this stage, without prejudicing the outcome of the investigations, that indeed, if this car had been flagged all the way in Canada, how come it passed through our borders? How come it passed through our ports and we didn't know? There are so many cars which have been flagged and they find their ways here. And embarrassingly, you get foreign security agencies come to our shores to come and pick these cars up and arrest people as if we did not have any checks at all. Let me say that we have a group of people who play a very critical role in this whole organized crime called legalizers. Now, these people legalize all documents that have been flagged, chassis numbers that have been flagged. They have a way of turning a blind eye to it so that it passes through the normal system. Blind eye is turned to the registration and the cars get to its destination and people drive it on the street without any cost at all. It would be unfair for us to have any conversation around how come the car got here if we do not have the details of the kind of flagging that has been done by the FBI, when it was done, and when the car got here. But this is not something that is uncommon. It's very common within our jurisdiction because if any car is stolen, the best place to find it is the porous borders through Nigeria, Benin called the Seme border, through the Ghana-Togo border called the Aflao, and the likes. So this is very common.
Right, interesting. Frank, I wonder what you want to see about this.
So I think what I was saying earlier has to do with the robust system that customs has in the United States and in Canada. But then if from the exit ports they are able to break the system, then over here locally, it's a very simple thing. Now, I want to state that Shatta Wale's vehicle is not a stolen vehicle. We are told that it was acquired out of fraudulent procedures or out of money laundering schemes, you understand? Because this is a vehicle that is registered in 2019 or manufactured in 2019. So if there is any stolen history about that vehicle for 6 years, it should have already gotten on Carfax easily. Okay? We need to take this thing, and I want to break this into two. No vehicle dealer, no recognized vehicle dealer will conduct or will be involved in such, such a crime. Okay? Now, one will ask, is it possible for Shatta Wale to pass $150,000 for a vehicle like this without trace? Yes, it is possible. Because what experience that I have, and for all these years, I can tell you that people walk into our garages, bring vehicles,
and we buy them based on recommendation. Okay? The only valid or certification we need is the custom documentation. That shows that you have paid your duty. Okay? Because on my part, I'm buying this vehicle because I rely on the certification of customs to have done due diligence at the port, done the right examination before duties are paid. So if it has been able to clear preventive at customs, if it has been able to clear national security at the port, then clearly I'll buy this vehicle. Okay? And now one will ask that a Lamborghini is selling for $400,000, and how come Shatta will part with a mega $150,000 for this vehicle? See, let's be frank. You can actually buy a Lamborghini for $150,000. It depends on the condition and the state of the vehicle. It could be a repair service vehicle. You understand? It could be a repossessed vehicle with that kind of title. You get my point. And it's a 2019, a vehicle that is 6 years. The fact that the Lamborghini doesn't make it different from anything. Okay? So in this context, I can say as a dealer with this experience that yes, Shatta could be a victim of this crime syndicate. Okay? And if Shatta says that I don't know and I don't have the contact of the person through whom I bought this vehicle, it's possible. I'm not in any way defending Shatta or the syndicate or what they are indulged in. I'm only giving the perspective from a dealer angle. And all these people who are doing this transaction are not recognized dealers. Okay.
Very interesting perspective, and again we need to restate. I mean, the point that has been made that of course we are not prejudging Shatta Wale, we are not prejudging the case. The matter is being investigated, and so we'll get back. We'll get back to some of those. And Stephen, I'll get to you pretty shortly. But Ransford, let me bring you back. What exactly will this investigation be looking at? Especially since you this is something that you look at. What will this investigation be looked at? And with Shatta Wale having already gone online, talked about how he bought this from the streets, he's thrown the number away and all that. What does that do to the investigation, of course?
Okay, thank you. So it depends on what is being looked at. Now, if the narrative is that the vehicle is a proceed of organized crime or money laundering, then what it means is that whoever purchases a vehicle that has been procured through money that is tainted, that person also has a lot of questions to answer. Now, organized crime syndicates would use luxurious vehicle as a way of hiding the identity and the source of monies that they have made. So if you purchase such items, you are branded as a suspect. Having said that, a vehicle like the one we are looking at is not something that is very common for anybody to buy on the streets. If you have money worth $150,000 or more, and you make any purchase of any sort, there should be some level of due diligence that you as a buyer must conduct. 2, if there is a day that you are called to give details of who sold the vehicle to you, how much you bought it, receipt of the vehicle, the location where you bought it, I think that these are fair questions that you need to answer. If what the EOCO has put out in the statement is anything to go by, that the gentleman said he doesn't have records of who sold it, all he knows is a certain name, he doesn't have a phone number, it brings more questions than answers. That the basic checks that you should do, if you should purchase anything with that amount, let's assume that after purchasing this vehicle, you just walk out and you notice that the engine is faulty. $150,000. You should be able to go back to the source and say that, hey, can we have a conversation? I have a challenge. And so it's not looking so good that the buyer has not done much due diligence. The buyer cannot point where he bought it, who he bought it from, the phone number that they had conversation on. Where was the car seen? Was it on any of these online platforms? Was it in a particular garage? All these questions will have to be answered. And if you are not able to provide some of these details, then let me say from where I sit as an investigator that it will say you ought to have done some basic due diligence.
Yeah. Bismarck, from where you said also, from where Ransford just sat, do you get a sense, as a big fan of Shatta Wale, that he may be in trouble? And what is the sense you get from the fandom? What are the concerns people are expressing? Are they worried for him? Do they feel like he's been victimized? He's been victimized or something of the sort?
We in the first place, if we were not worried, we wouldn't have pulled up to the of EOCO. The fact that the loyal fans of Shatta Wale have flooded in the environs of EOCO determines clearly without equivocation that we are actually worried about him, because you don't expect us to be happy when we see our king or our artist go to this particular.
Do the fans of Shatta Wale really consider him a king, like he calls himself a king? Because this is the third time you use the language, and it's very interesting. A king.
It is not a self-acclamation. It is not a self-assertion. It is something that we have, put on him because of his evidence that he has put towards, when it comes to the music industry and all of that. And so it is not a self-acclaimed something. So we're actually worried. That is why every loyal SM fan pulled to that particular environment of EOCO to make sure that he will be freed. And we are not saying that it is based on our demonstration. That is why he's freed. Of course, he has been given the conditions to, fulfill, which he has. And what motivated us is because of the fact that we have been supporting him ever since he started this movement or something like that. And so, yes, we're worried. We're actually worried. But then, I'm actually happy that one of the speakers mentioned the fact that the car wasn't a stolen car, because that is what most of the reportage have been reporting, that it was a stolen car. It was a stolen car. If it was a stolen car, I don't think it would be able to, cross the borders of Ghana or even come into Ghana. So it was because of the fact that
plenty stolen cars are coming into the country. People are buying it, and the cars are getting seized on the street. Can be driving around Accra Mall, then you see a crew, a task force. They will say, "Let's check your chassis number." The next thing you know, they are impounding your vehicle.
I think it is those. I think it will be those picantos and those small cars that can be able to cross the border. But when it comes to this particular luxurious car, it is very, very luxurious, and so I think things will be taken into consideration. So, as my friend said, he made mention of the fact that it was because of the fact that the car was purchased using like a scam or a fraudulent way of getting money out. You understand? And so the department, the U.S. Department of Justice, are actually connecting the dots. So they are looking at the expenditure of the person that was, I don't want to mention his name anyway, the person that was arrested for that particular crime or fraudulent activity. So that expenditure connected to the Lamborghini Urus. And that is why Shatta Wale's name came in. And obviously, Shatta Wale made mention of the fact that he bought it from the street. And I don't think you can buy a suit on Kantamanto Street and expect to get a receipt.
But the suit is not Lamborghini for $150,000, Chamba.
I'm picturing. I'm bringing you to a certain light for you to understand or comprehend clearly. Because as Shatta Wale mentioned, he said he bought it from the street. He doesn't, because this person, you know how street works. And so I don't think you expect him to get more info about that particular buyer or something like that.
Great. What do you make of the conversation that's been had around the table?
All right. Thank you very much, Kwaku. You see, we are all beating around the bush, okay? We can speculate, but because this is a case under investigation, we are not allowed to say certain things now, so that we don't put the investigation into jeopardy or, let's say, be held in contempt or say certain things that may land us in trouble. But, we are all around and we know what is happening. But the point I want to make is, I listened to one of the investigators, or is it what his name, from EOCO spoke on TV, and he mentioned that this thing is common because they have been tracking some number of cars that they deem as suspicious. If you are purchasing some of those cars, you should be circumspect, not to fall short of, buying one of those stolen cars. He mentioned the CRVs, the Ford pickups, and a host of cars. And my question was that, so does it mean that I shouldn't buy any car at all? If those are the cars that I want, I should not purchase it on the street. And he also mentioned that if it is a brand new model, you should not buy it. You should be somehow suspicious of the fact that it could be a stolen car. You know, what they don't want to say is that the system in Ghana is porous to the extent that there's a channel, there's a protective business venture for these stolen vehicles to be purchased and brought into the country. The system enables this process. Like my good friend was saying, let's look at this scenario, for instance. Let's say the car was stolen, let's say somewhere in Toronto, in Canada. Okay, someone stole it from, let's say, a mall, and is running this kind of a clandestine operation where he steals cars and he ships them to Africa, Nigeria, or Ghana, whatever. Let's assume that is what he does. Now he has a platform where these cars are advertised. You can buy under disguise of, let's say, accident cars or whatever, second-hand cars or whatever they want to put it. Now, once your car is stolen and you report it, and it is put into the system or the registry or whatever, at the point of exit where the car is supposed to be shipped, if it is already in the system and they checked, that car will never leave the port because it's going to be flagged as a stolen vehicle. But if that is not done and the car is shipped, once it's on the sea or it's in the sea, it's over until it reaches the shores of the country is coming to, Ghana. And so the person who is behind that side purchasing this car might not know if this car is actually stolen or not. But like we know, you cannot be buying a car that is probably originally will cost you, let's say, $200,000, and you're buying it for, let's say, 50,000 or 100,000, and not be suspicious.
Yeah, that is what in Ghana they would say is this honestly receiving. For instance, if you bought a phone for a very, very cheap price, the law wants you to do some introspection, some checks and all that before you pay for some of those ridiculously low prices. But of course, Frank from the the car dealers have explained that sometimes the vehicle may have had a couple of issues for which reason the price have come that low. Thank you very much, Mo. Please hold there for me. Stephen, it's gone around the table. You've been itching to put in a word, and this very big conversation between yesterday and now with Shatta Wale.
Yes, Kwaku. So it's interesting to me, the fan base of Shatta Wale, given how erroneous this whole conversation has been. We know that Shatta Wale fans have been termed as illiterate. They've been termed as uneducated people.
Those are
street people.
That's like a stereotype, really.
Yes. That's how they've been termed.
Yeah, because they are people. I mean, yesterday Gary Al Smith makes a post on social media, talks about how there were WhatsApp groups with judges, with very, very happy for people in society who really affiliated with the Shatta Wale brand, although some of them will not do so openly. But I get the point you make about the stereotype. That some have made
and
about
given that
the core base
with
of Shatta.
how they presented themselves out there yesterday, it doesn't really feed into it, but it shows how broad his fan base is and how much they love him. I think it's time we start channeling that energy into something more productive. Given that there was no report of people being arrested, there were no acts of violence at the protest there, and how peaceful they presented themselves, chanting to their God.
They protested peacefully yesterday. They were, well, anyway, I mean, comparatively compared to some of the things we see sometimes.
Other protests we've seen, it was rather much more peaceful.
In terms of the way you saw it with the Shatta protest. And for instance, some of the things that I've been thinking about is how we can get to a place where, like you said, some of these, we channel these energies to proper use, of course. Because, Chamba said something that was very instructive. He said he would have wished to be there yesterday, but he was at work. So it tells you that there's so many people who have a lot of idle hand. They are just idle. So if there's something somebody calls them and says, oh, let's go, they don't even know where they are going, but they go. But if you were perhaps engaged in something, I'm not suggesting that everybody there yesterday was not engaged in something. People perhaps went there because they really love Shatta Wale and they thought he was not being treated fairly. And that is why they went in there to support him. Frank, are there some specific things your association is doing to sanitize this space with car importation and specific advice that you have, for instance, potential buyers? People want to buy cars. What exactly do they have to look out for? Where do they have to go? And your members, the garages all over the place, are they selling cars that do not have some of these records? Because I suspect people may buy cars from garages and then Interpol will stop them at Accra Mall and say that, listen, your car has some dent on it.
Yes, thank you for that. I think that is quite important to note that we have a series of interventions that we are going to roll out very soon. One on the part of the union, the major one on the part of government. This market is not regularized, okay? It's a free market. Anybody can just wake up with a capital or a contract or a connection and before realize they are importing vehicles into the country. Vehicles that are not roadworthy, vehicles that have chassis have been tempered with and all of that. And yes, it's a draft standardization that is work in progress. But then I want to state this, that we all know that we have institutions of state that are meant to protect the interests of the people. We have consumer protection agencies that are supposed to protect the interests of people. Why are these agencies there? They are there in the interest of the people because we know that some people can take advantage of the procedures and processes, no matter how sophisticated they are. Now, I will disagree with anyone who says that the buck stops with the buyer. Okay? It stops with customs. Why am I saying this? I can't remember the last time I went to the pharmacy to buy a prescribed drug, and I want to know who manufactured this, the documentations they have, or anything. All I know is that the Food and Drugs Authority have done their job, for which reason this drug has found itself on the shelf. Now, another school of thought, one will say that it begs more questions and answers for Shatta Wale to say that he bought this vehicle from the street and he doesn't know the person. Now, I want to tell you, as a dealer of 14 years experience, there are vehicles that I can tell you on authority that I have purchased from the street that I do not know who imported them, and I do not even have details of the person who imported them. It came, oh, Charlie, I get some move, you know, oh, Charlie, what be the deal? And the move is good, and then you buy that vehicle and then you keep it in your garage. What am I looking at? Again, I'm looking at the custom certified document. On the custom certified document, you have an inspection fee, which states clearly that customs have exhausted all diligence on the vehicle and have given clearance, national security has given clearance, and it's in the market. So where do you fall victim? You only fall a victim if you don't cross the border to do a vein check on that particular vehicle. And yes, there are some vehicles that you check the vein, just as Shatta Wale demonstrated on social media that I saw, that he did all his vein check and everything in the vehicle was clean. The gentleman in question who is in the cooler as we speak is not a car dealer. Who is he? We need to now interrogate that matter. And I want to also state that about 90 to 95% of vehicles that you see in the dealerships are not imported by the garage owner. They are imported by individuals, they are imported by politicians, they are imported by people who have the network to bring in those vehicles. And it will interest you to note, some of these good deals only come with luxury vehicles. So the first thing any buyer has to be aware about is cheap things are dangerous, irrespective of your due diligence or the extent with which you're going to go to ensure that you are safe on the side. Once it's cheap, it's dangerous. It's unfortunate that Shatta Wale finds himself victim of this particular an eye-opener for the entire country. So even though Shatta Wale might be crying or might be in pain at this moment, I want to tell Shatta Wale that he is the hero at the end of the day because he has brought some clarity to what we've been fighting in this market for years. Because it's a powerful syndicate, it's a powerful group of people, and you dare not. You understand? Because they are controlling a lot of funds in the background, and it's a very good haven for money laundering. So if somebody is asking that Shatta Wale cannot trace or the funds that he used in paying this car, Shatta Wale is a big boy. Shatta Wale can easily purchase $150,000 in cash to pick this particular car from the street. I want to state again that I am not defending or I am not in any way saying what the procedure or taking anything away from the investigation. But I want to state now, if the government is listening, the Minister of Trade is listening, Finance Authority is listening, we will have to bring some clarity to the standardization
of some of these things. I see the point you make there, but of course, there's also the principle of caveat emptor, buyer beware. So that, of course, I see the point. I think it's legitimate that you talk about how when you go to buy, say, medicine at a pharmacy, your assumption is that the state agency that you pay with your taxes to work has done the due diligence that you are buying something good. And so perhaps you think DVLA together with the customs in particular, preventive SEPs, must be doing something more at the ports to be able to get some of these things. I like the point that you make. As we begin to wrap up, Ransford. Okay.
You actually report from Parliament often because I do follow you.
Yes.
A lot of politicians are suffering the same thing now as we speak because we've received calls from some of them saying, Frank, I just checked and I realized that this vehicle, what do I do? I told them, go to EOCO. And report yourself before they come for you. Before your reputation is brought into question.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people there who have suffered this, and then because of this particular event, they have come to the realization.
Right. Interesting. Thank you very much. Ransford, very briefly, what form will this kind of investigation take, especially now that we know EOCO is doing this with the FBI? Perhaps this car, because the document is the insistence of the U.S. government is that because the gentleman who originally imported a vehicle has been jailed for crimes in the U.S., this vehicle will be sent back to the U.S. as part of restitution for the victims he defrauded because he has been convicted. So we can safely say defrauded, not alleged. What will this investigation take going forward? And given all the kind of things Shatta Wale has said about where he bought the car from and all those things, very briefly on that.
Thank you very much. And I'm happy that you raised the issue with Frank about the buyer has to beware. You see, issues have happened, and a lot of people are listening. We need to put the fun and the jams and the disco aside and go and look at what the law says when it comes to these things. If you look at Anti-Money Laundering Act 1044, there's a clause in there that I fear says you ought to have known, right? What are we telling people? That it is normal that you buy things from the street at $150,000, so we should encourage it? I would ask that transactions of this nature, as a country that we are growing, that we want things to be done right. One, our borders, we need to tighten it. I agree with Frank when he says that we have people in customs who should have ensured that this car did not come in for Shatta Wale to fall victim. However, we need to look at how do we pay for transactions of this nature? Because indeed, if there are receipts and their bank transfer, if you like, traces, then the FBI will say that, okay, this guy bought a car. These are the transactions. These are the transfers. But for you to say that you bought it with cash on the street, yes, it happens. But should we be encouraged? The answer is no. Quickly, back to your answer. Now, if you buy anything that is proven that is a proceed of crime, they will recover it. And you, the buyer, the only option you have is to look for the person who sold this vehicle or property to you, sue the person through the legal procedures, and get your money back. But any proceed that is identified as a proceed of crime, you will be at the wrong end if you ended up doing business with somebody who has fallen foul with the law.
Right.
And we are not talking about the fanfare. Unfortunately, what has happened to this gentleman, I can tell you that it can happen to a lot of people because we do not have the capacity to verify some of these things unless it has happened. However, we need to learn lessons from it, that you have a duty to beware as a buyer. And if you go and do business with anybody and the law catches that person that whatever you bought was proceeds of crime, you are going to lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. And Mo and Bismarck, let me give you 30 seconds each. Let's wrap it up. Mo, let me start from you, Mo. What should be happening going forward with Shatta Wale? Do you think kind of things? Of course, this is a legal process and everything, but your closing comments. Then I'll give you the last word to Bismarck.
All right, thank you very much. The only thing I will say is that this is a wake-up call to all of us as business people and as customers, and also to government, that we need to strengthen our systems at the ports and our borders, because anyone at all can fall victim to this. And I also like to entreat people who want to use this opportunity to denigrate or to bring the hard-earned reputation of Shatta into disrepute, that this is something that anyone can fall victim to. And my call mainly goes to government to ensure that people are protected from falling victim of those things. And so that is what I will say. And also congratulations to all the SM fans around the world. And we are hoping that Shatta Wale will be acquitted of all the allegations. And we hope that he can at least somehow manage to tone down some of his utterances.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Bismarck, 30 seconds.
All right, thank you so much. I would like to touch on the fact that the pictures of the Lamborghini on the streets and then the price correlated to it is up there and those kind of things. People are mentioning that why would you buy Lamborghini on the streets and say you don't have receipts and those kind of things. You know, when the word street comes to your mind, when it comes to your ears, when the moment it goes in your ears, you know that the next word is cheap. Is that not it? That is why when someone says that your girlfriend is for the street, it means that your girlfriend is cheap. And so if someone buys a Lamborghini on the street and then he bought it for maybe 150,000, there are certain situations connected to that particular issue. And that is one, it is on the street, which means it is cheap. Number two, he's a third-party buyer of that car.
That car. Bismarck, I hope I could really make you make a lot of the point you're making, but I think we have to end it here. Definitely, because this matter is so live, I'm sure a lot of issues will still come up with it. And if it does, we'll be back here on Ghana Connect, hopefully with this same panel, and then we can get into it. Thank you very much, Frank. Thank you, Ransford. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Bismarck. And thank you, Stephen. And this has been Ghana Connect. Just before we go, News File is tomorrow. You don't have to miss a couple of big conversations to be had. And Obi of Asepa FM, Ekosisen, will be hosting it tomorrow, 9 to 12. You should not miss it. And also to wish a happy birthday to you, Abla. Ahead of your birthday tomorrow, Abla Holali. Yes. I don't know if you'll be turning 30 or 28 or 29 tomorrow, but hopefully we'll get to know tomorrow. Happy birthday to you when you do celebrate tomorrow. My name is Kwaku Asante. I'll be back again same time next week. Of course, we can't go without giving you something from